Hello, my name is Wildstag, and thank you for tuning in to another used book rant. Today, I'm going to be discussing a source book I found for Pathfinder First Edition, specifically Pathfinder Chronicles. This is the campaign setting. The back of it says 3.5 OGL compatible. This is something I purchased for $25 and which on the back cover says it would have been sold new at $49.99. Now, this is one of those things where it is difficult to figure out exactly what printing it is, but Pathfinder does thankfully list some of that information. So this is a copyright 2008 book. The cover artist is Wayne Reynolds, and that's classic Wayne Reynolds art, though it almost looks poorly made. And if you look at it again, it's very clearly a smaller image that has been made bigger for the cover. And there's some aspects of it that you can see almost like pixel art-ish stuff in it. You can see that it's been made bigger. And that's a type of editing that normally other companies try to fix by making the original art full size for the cover. So it is interesting to see it presented this way. I believe this book to be probably first printing or fairly early printing, which is consistent with what I've found at Coaz Books, which is where I bought this. There are a lot of first printing books for tabletop role-playing games there, and I'm not certain which specific game store they would have purchased these at. There are 3 comic book / game stores that I know of in the Las Cruces area, and that's not even including El Paso, or maybe the person came from some other bigger city. So there is a large TTRPG scene, and it is apparently pretty big in third-party material as well. So it's just an interesting thing to have found. One of the things I really like about this copy is that it does actually have some older feats that were changed in later printings. So, for example, if I look at the Sodden Lands, the feat Stoic, which has the prerequisites Charisma 15 and Sodden Lands Affinity, the benefit is you may use your Charisma bonus instead of your Constitution modifier for Fortitude saving throws. You gain a +2 on saving throws made against fear effects. If you look at the feat on Aeon PRD, Archives of Nethys, what you will see is that it now has the prerequisite Iron Will, and you gain a +1 bonus on all saving throws against fear effects. And if you successfully save against any fear effect, you are immune to further fear effects from that source for 24 hours. So they changed that feat significantly from something that was very powerful to something significantly more niche. If you're going to go to that effort, just get fear immunity. It's not that difficult. Classes had changes as well. There were character alternate class features, which are a thing from 3.5, where one aspect of the class is changed in exchange for another class feature. So here it says for barbarians in the cold climates of the land of the Linorm Kings, the realm of the Mammoth Lords, and the World Wound sometimes have the above ability, which replaces the Trap Sense ability. This ability is Cold Resistance. At 3rd level, a barbarian gains Cold Resistance 2. This resistance increases by 2 for every 3 additional levels the barbarian attains, for a total of Cold Resistance 12 at 18th level. So in addition to damage reduction, they would also be getting Cold Resistance. One of the more noteworthy aspects of this is that the cleric gets the ability Holy Warrior. A cleric with this ability is proficient with her deity's favored weapon. In addition, her base attack bonus as a cleric equals her cleric level, and her cleric hit die becomes a d10. This is in exchange for both of the cleric domains as well as her domain powers. Now, on the surface, that may seem really important. You have a full caster with full BAB and d10 hit die. That's the same base attack bonus and hit die as a fighter in 3.5, and they get full casting, which is significantly more powerful than just playing a fighter. It's more powerful than playing a paladin in some regards. It's better than playing a ranger, which, you don't get favored enemy, but you get some really good spells. Full casting is still better than favored enemy, which is situational, and 4th level casting. So this looks like it's, on the surface, a good trade-off, but in 3.5, domains and domain powers were incredibly useful, and they still are in Pathfinder 1E. So the cleric is giving up some really good domains in exchange for full BAB, better hit die, and proficiency with the deity's favored weapon, which is a good, strong cleric, but you're missing out a lot on what makes the cleric a cleric. It's not just a full caster, it also is more than that. There's the fighter, which trades their bonus feat at first level for more skill ranks, and this is something that should have just been fixed all along. Instead of just giving the fighter 2+ int skill ranks per level, it should be 4 ranks plus int modifier per level. And you shouldn't have to trade a bonus feat for that, but given the strength of other feats in 3rd edition, Nymph's Kiss, which gives you 1 bonus skill point per level, this is a pretty good trade-off. It's not great. Ideally, the fighter should just be fixed, and that's what Pathfinder 1E did, but it does somewhat help. Another good example, and this is one of those unique aspects to Pathfinder 1E, is the combat feat Aldori Dueling Mastery, which in this book has a lot of prerequisites. Dexterity 17, greater weapon focus, Aldori Dueling Sword, weapon finesse, weapon focus, Aldori Dueling Sword, weapon specialization, Aldori Dueling Sword, base attack bonus plus 12, and proficiency with the Aldori Dueling Sword. The benefit, though, is that you can make 1 additional attack each round with an Aldori Dueling Sword, whether wielded with 1 hand or 2. The attack is at your highest base attack bonus, but each attack you make in the round, the extra one and the normal ones, take a -2 penalty. You must use the full attack action to use this aspect of the feat. In addition, when you wield an Aldori Dueling Sword with 2 hands, you deal plus 1d4 points of extra damage with each hit, including attacks of opportunity, and gain a +2 shield bonus to your AC. These latter bonuses stack with those gained from weapon focus and weapon specialization. Creatures immune to critical hits and sneak attacks are also immune to the extra damage your Aldori Dueling style deals. When you compare that feat as it was printed in 2008 with what is currently on Archives of Nethys, you see that the benefit is you gain a +2 bonus on initiative checks as long as you start combat with an Aldori Dueling Sword in your hand. As long as you wield only a single Aldori Dueling Sword in one hand, not using a shield, not using an offhand weapon, armor spikes, unarmed strikes, or natural weapons, you gain a +2 shield bonus to your AC. If you wield the sword in 2 hands, this drops to a +1 bonus. Although the dueling sword deals slashing damage, you treat it as if it were also a piercing weapon when determining the effects of weapons used by a duelist or a swashbuckler. The prerequisites are exotic weapon proficiency, quick draw, weapon finesse, and weapon focus. So it's significantly less difficult to take Aldori dueling mastery, but the benefits for it are significantly reduced. And that's one of those things that is special about this book, is that because it was printed in 2008 and because it was printed for 3.5 as a third-party content book, it has a lot of nerfs in it that happened eventually as Pathfinder First Edition became its own thing. Secret of Steel Shattering Spirit uses the prerequisites Improved Unarmed Strike, BAB6, and Lawful. You gain a pool of key points equal to 1 plus your Wisdom modifier. As a swift action, you can focus your key into strikes that can overcome the hardness of any substance. Each unarmed strike attack you make while in this focus expends 1 key from your pool whether or not you hit. You lose your focus automatically when you run out of key when the encounter ends if you are reduced to fewer than 0 hit points or killed, or as a free action anytime you wish. While focused this way, your unarmed strikes are treated as adamantine weapons for the purpose of overcoming damage reduction or bypassing hardness. And every time you take this feat again, you increase the types of damage reductions it bypasses in this order: adamantine, cold iron, silver, magic, lawful, epic. Epic indicating 3.5 content. So, this is a really cool ability, I think, because it allows non-monks to do some of the stuff that monks do. And also, it's just a cool feat in general. But when you look it up online, again, on Archives of Nethys, this feat actually survived with no changes. But the only source this was ever printed in was Pathfinder campaign setting. There's an interesting feat here called Godless Healing, where when you have half your total hit points or less, you may attempt a DC 10 concentration check to heal yourself of 1d4 plus 1 point of damage per level as a move action, which you may only use this feat once per day, but you can take the feat multiple times, each time gaining an additional use per day. This is a way to heal without using magic. You just, almost like a healing surge in 4th edition, you heal yourself through grit and determination. And that's a really cool ability. Again, a lot of these feats were made for 3rd edition, and when they were translated to Pathfinder 1E, if they even were, they were nerfed. And what I really love about this book is that it is a look at a earlier time in Pathfinder's history. I don't think I'm going to use some of these options in any games, but it is still worth researching. As a final feat example, here is one that I found really fascinating, and I'll read out the original book form and then the edited, updated Pathfinder 1E version on Archives of Nethys. Hamatulatsu had the prerequisites Intimidate 5 ranks, Improved Unarmed Attack, Female, and Raised by the Sisters of the Golden Erinyes. This was the feat provided on the description of Iskar, a thrall of Cheliax. The benefit states, each round your unarmed attacks may be treated as bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage. You decide which type of damage you deal, but you may only choose one type at a time. In addition, for each consecutive round that you change the type of damage selected from the previous round, the threat range of your unarmed attack increases by 1 to a maximum of 16 to 20 after 5 rounds. If you succeed in confirming a critical hit, the threat range of your attacks resets to normal, and you may further make an opposed intimidate check as an immediate action to attempt to demoralize your opponent and render him shaken. This feat does not stack with improved critical. Now, that's as it was printed in 2008, and the current form says that the prerequisites are weapon focus, unarmed strike, and improved unarmed strike. The benefit is that your unarmed attacks deal either bludgeoning or piercing damage. You decide which type you deal whenever you attack a foe, but you may only choose one type at a time. If you critically hit a foe with your unarmed strike while doing piercing damage, the additional pain caused by the strike causes the foe to become sickened for 1 round, or staggered for 1 round if the target is already sickened. Multiple critical hits in a round against a single foe do not increase the duration of the sickened or staggered condition. No additional information about what happens if you crit when you're doing bludgeoning damage. None of the increasing threat range, which is a cool combo effect. It's an interesting aspect of Pathfinder that was lost as we went along. It is an interesting aspect of Pathfinder that was lost as the game evolved. And that's one of those things that is really fascinating about this book. And there are so many different ways to look at this book. And the last one, and this is something I'm really happy about, is that the book also came with the full world map. And yeah, it's huge. And I'm lucky to have found something in 2025 that was 17 years old and had that map in such good condition. The same goes for the book. There are a few places where the binding is falling apart and it's clear someone left the book open and the binding is damaged. There's no names written in this though. There's no indication of who owned this before I did, which is kind of a bummer. But like I said, reading through it is really fun, and especially if you've got a community that really loves Pathfinder First Edition, this is going to be a gold mine of history to read through. And I discussed it with some friends on a similar kind of server on Discord when I first found this book, and they were so intrigued by it. A friend was saying that that Hamatulatsu is a wombo combo feat that he wishes they would have kept, and someone else was saying that this is cool as shit. Someone else was like, this is really cool, I might homebrew that back in. And it's just one of those things where you lose something in translation as a game evolves, and this is one of those things I wish people could see, especially fans of Pathfinder First Edition. So yeah, my name is Wildstag, and thank you for tuning in to another used book rant.